Alright, so in this video we're going to go ahead and go briefly over polynomials. So first we need to start off by talking about what a polynomial is. So let's go ahead and define a couple other terms to start out. So a monomial consists, so it's an algebraic expression that consists of one term. So for example, x squared, 4x cubed, those are all examples of monomials. Now a binomial is an algebraic expression that consists of two terms. So x plus 1, 5x minus 3, x squared plus x. Those are all examples of binomials. So a polynomial then is an algebraic expression that consists of summing up monomials. So a binomial is actually a version of a polynomial. So again, a polynomial could be something like 4x squared plus 3x minus 2. That would be an example of a polynomial. So let's go ahead and learn how to add and subtract polynomials. So let's say we've got 4x squared plus 3x minus 2. So we've got this polynomial, number 1, and we're going to add it to a second polynomial. So x squared plus 5x plus 1. So then we've got polynomial number 2. So you're going to go ahead and set this up the way you would a regular addition problem. So you're going to line them up right above each other. So 4x squared plus 3x minus 2. And so then we're going to stick the second one down here. But you want to line up your like terms. So if you remember, a like term is something that has the same, they're terms that have the same variables and same powers associated with the variables. So for example, 4x squared and x squared are like terms because they both have x squared in them. The number out in front is its coefficient, and those do not have to be the same. Just the variables and the power associated with that variable. So they both have x, and in both of these examples, x is squared. So those are like terms. And then if we move on to the next term over here, 3x, the like term over here is going to be 5x because we've got an x over there as your variable. So again, you're just going to want to line up these like terms. So x squared plus 5x plus 1. And then of course you can only combine like terms. So then you just add your coefficients and then add your variables after that. So 4 plus 1 is 5. So we've got 5x squareds. And then 3 plus 5 is 8. So we've got a positive 8x. And then negative 2 plus 1 is going to be a negative 1. So adding those polynomials together, we get 5x squared plus 8x minus 1. Now, you're going to treat subtraction pretty much the same way. So let's say if we're trying to do, let's say, 8x cubed plus 4y minus 3xy plus 4x minus 1. So that's our first polynomial. And then you want to subtract let's subtract 4xy plus 3x squared plus 9y squared plus 4x cubed minus 5. Plus 6y. And you want to perform that subtraction problem. Again, you're just going to set this up. So 8x cubed plus 4y minus 3xy plus 4x minus 1. And then again, line up your like terms. So what I like to do when I do this, I like to cross them out once I've written them down so I make sure that I don't forget anything. So we go through and we look and we've got 4x cubed. Do we have any y's? So we've got 6y. xy, we've got 4xy. And then we don't have any x's. So we just skip over that one. And then constants, we've got minus 5. And then additionally, we've got a plus 3x squared and plus 9y. Now, we're subtracting this. So what we're going to do is, that's like having a negative 1 that needs to be distributed to each term. So we're going to go in and make this an addition and then change the sign on everything else. So I'll go ahead and do that in green so you can see it. So we're going to change this to a positive by timesing it by a negative 1, and then you've got to times everything else by a negative 1. So negative, this is going to end up being negative, negative, positive, negative, negative. And then you can go ahead and perform your addition just like we did above. So 8x cubed plus negative 4x cubed, we're going to get a 4x cubed. And then 4 minus 6 is going to be a negative 2y. Negative 3 plus a negative 4 is going to be negative 7. And then add our variables. Plus 4x. Negative 1 plus a positive 5 is going to be a positive 4. And then minus 3x squared plus, minus 9y. And that's your answer right there. So again, you just want to line up your like terms and then you just combine your like terms. So let's go ahead now and learn how to multiply a monomial by a polynomial. So let's say we've got x times the polynomial x minus 1. You're just going to use your distributive property that you learned previously and just distribute this x to each term in your polynomial. So you're going to have x times x plus x times a negative 1. So x squared plus negative x, so that's x squared minus x. Now, if you had something a little bit more complicated, let's say we've got 5x cubed times x squared minus 2x plus 5. Again, you're just going to take your monomial and multiply it by every term in your polynomial. So, we're going to have 5x cubed times x squared plus 5x cubed times negative 2x plus 5x cubed times 5. So, when you multiply monomials together like that, you're going to end up multiplying the coefficients together and then the variables together, and then multiplying those together. So we've got 5 times 1 times x cubed times x squared plus 5 times negative 2 times x cubed times x plus 5 times 5 times x cubed. So 5 times 1 is going to be 5 times, that's going to be x raised to the 3 plus 2. And then 5 times negative 2 is going to be negative 10. So we can take that negative and bring it out in front. Negative 10 times x to the 3 plus 1 plus 25x cubed. So 5x to the 5th minus 10x to the 4th plus 25x cubed. And that's how you multiply a monomial by a polynomial. And then finally, the last thing we're going to learn is multiplying two binomials. So if you had x plus 1 and 3x plus 5, and you want to multiply those together, you're going to do this thing called FOIL. So you're going to multiply the first terms together, so first in each binomial, and then the outside terms, and then the inside, and then the last terms. So you're going to do the first terms together, then the outside terms, then the inside terms, and then the last terms. So you've got FOIL right there. I also like to think of this, I was taught once that this is like rainbows. So you just kind of pay attention to that as well. But you just have to make sure that each term gets multiplied by each other at least once. So you have 4 terms, so you're going to do 4 multiplications. So this one's got to be multiplied by that one, and then this one's got to be multiplied by that one and that one. It doesn't matter which order you do it in, just as long as you remember to multiply everything by each other. So we're going to go ahead and do this FOIL action here. So we're going to do our first terms, so x times 3x, plus our outside terms, so x times 5, plus our inside terms, 1 times 3x, plus our last terms, so 1 times 5. So we're going to get 1 times 3 times x plus 5x plus 1 times 3 times x plus 5. So we're going to get 3x squared plus 5x plus 3x plus 5, which is 3x squared plus 8x plus 5 after you combine your like terms. And that's the answer you'd get after foiling. So we can go ahead and run through another one of those just to make sure that you've got it. So we're going to have 4x cubed minus 3 and x squared plus 1. So remember FOIL. So we're going to do our first terms. So 4x cubed times x squared plus our outside terms, 4x cubed times 1, plus our inside terms, so negative 3 times x squared, plus our last terms, so negative 3 times 1. So it's going to be 4 times 1 times x cubed times x squared plus 4 times 1 times x cubed plus negative 3 times 1 times x squared plus negative 3. So that's going to be 4x to the 5th plus 4x cubed minus 3x squared minus 3. And that's going to be your solution. So it's as simple as that. If you have any questions, head over to our homework help page or